Hello, let's talk a little about the stomach in relation to gastric motility. The stomach is made up of five major regions. One is the cardiac region. The cardiac region is a point where the lower esophageal sphincter empties. The lower esophageal sphincter, what it does is that it prevents food substances that had been swallowed from the esophagus that had entered the stomach from going back to the esophagus, which will cause what is known as heartburns. Now, after the cardiac region, what you have as next part of the stomach is the fundus. After the fundus, we have the body of the stomach, from which we have the antrum of the stomach and the last part of the stomach, which is the pyloric region. At the fundus of the stomach, this is the toppest part of the stomach, immediately after the cardiac region. At the fundus, no mixing of food takes place at the fundus of the stomach. What happens at the fundus of the stomach is that there is a peristaltic movement of food. Now, once it comes, it generates the primary peristaltic movement or wave, which is very slow, and the food now moves slowly from the fundus of the stomach down to the body of the stomach. At the body of the stomach, little quantity of food is stored there for a while. There is increase in peristaltic movement from the fundus of the stomach down to the body of the stomach, where little storage of food takes place. Down to the antrum of the stomach, there is increase in peristaltic movement, which helps the food to be propelled down to the pyloric region. Now, at the pyloric region, there is what is known as the pyloric sphincter that prevents food from coming back from the small intestine into the stomach. There, as the sphincter closes, the food that is being propelled by the peristaltic wave hits the sphincter and bounces back. Continuous back and forth movement of food hitting the pyloric sphincter and bouncing back helps the food within the antrum of the stomach to be mixed. Now, at this point, the bolus of food is no longer called the bolus of food. Rather, it becomes what is known as chine. Now, the chine that is there becomes mixed with gastric secretions such as hydrochloric acid. This helps in the breaking down of food, the food to be broken down into smaller pieces. Now, why this is happening, a little quantity of food now enters the small intestine, which is kept through each peristaltic movement. Now, the quantities of food that are left there in the stomach, because the force of contraction that comes from the primary peristaltic wave or movement is not enough, a second peristaltic movement happens or wave comes in play. This pushes the remaining parts of the food from the stomach down to the small intestine, the first part of the small intestine known as the duodenum. Now, before food goes to the duodenum, there are some factors that must be fulfilled at the duodenum. They are called duodenal factors that control or allow food to leave the stomach down to the duodenum. These factors include acidic content, the distension of the duodenum, fats, and hypertonicity. These factors I will not dive into details because of the complexities that involve it. I don't want to confuse us about everything there, but these are the factors that will influence how food leaves the stomach down to the first part of the small intestine, which is the duodenum. Now, the gastric motility occurs in four major phases. There is gastric filling, gastric storage, gastric mixing, and gastric emptying. All of these processes are what take place within the stomach before food is emptied into this small intestine. While these processes are going on, the food is being broken down or digested into smaller particles till it is being absorbed into the small intestine. I hope you learned from this little video. You stay tuned, stay healthy, stay informed. Remember, knowledge is the key. Bye bye for now. Till we meet next time.